Hey there, Cosmic Warriors, and welcome back to another video. So, we are going to be discussing the full moon in Virgo today. I do just want to say that if you're new here, if you're new to the channel, my name is Hannah. I am a Western Practical Astrologer. I make videos all about astrology. There are so many videos to check out. And of course, if you are a returning viewer, a returning subscriber, welcome back. I hope you're doing well. Thank you so much for tuning in, everyone. So, yes, the full moon in Virgo, we're going to be talking all about it today. So, I'm just going to show you this presentation. So, the full moon happens on the 24th of February. This, of course, is the last full moon of the astrological year. Okay, because we're going to experience the new moon in Pisces. And then, yeah, we're coming into the final stages here. Let me just retrieve something. Might even just wait a moment for people to join, for people to tune in. How are we all feeling today? How are we feeling about this upcoming full moon? How are we feeling about it? Okay, so to move on then, hello, hi, King's Wellness Range, hello, welcome, hi. Welcome all, come join. So just to let you know, there are some astrology products available. You can find them over at hannahselsewhere.com. There's some cheat sheets available, And then as well, if you are interested in booking a reading with me, you can book it over there. And you can also join the Patreon. And I also want to let you know here quickly that I'm going to be hosting my first ever workshop. So the link to the workshop to register is down below. And in the workshop, we're going to be discussing annual perfections. What are they? What influence do they have on our lives? Why are they important when it comes to astrology? Okay, so you can register by going to the link below. And that is going to be hosted at the end of March. So it should be good. It should be good. Right, so this is an overview of what we're going to be discussing today. So with relation to the question that you asked about short readings, yes. So if that is something that you would like to request, I am going to try and post about it later today. So stay tuned. Right, so let's explore the full moon in Virgo. So here we have, if you notice, the stellium in the sign of Pisces, right? So we've got Neptune there, of course. Then we have the Sun, Mercury, and also Saturn in Pisces. There's actually going to be a same degree conjunction between these planets, but there's still going to be some conjunctions happening between these planets during the full moon. So the full moon is actually going to be in Virgo at 5 degrees, and then the sun is going to be in Pisces at 5 degrees. So we're going to explore that today. Do you also notice here how the dispositor of the moon, which is Mercury, is in the opposite sign, right? So we're going to talk about that and its significance. Then we also see here that there is Mars conjunct Venus in Aquarius. Pluto is still, of course, in Aquarius. And you may find even today and coming into, the weekend and the coming week, etc. Yeah, intensities to do with our relationships, our actions, really digging deep and having to address the subconscious in this way. Many powerful changes, let's just say. Okay, many renewals we're noticing here. Much change, much evolution. But still, Mars will be conjunct Venus during the full moon in Virgo, and then there will be that square to Jupiter. Do keep in mind that Jupiter will be the dispositor of all of that Pisces energy. Right, so we're going to explore that. Then we also notice here how the North Node and Chiron are still conjunct. Okay, they're still conjunct at 16 degrees around the full moon. And then there is that opposition there to the South Node. Then we also have Ceres making a trine to the moon and a sextile to the sun. So that one I think should be quite interesting, especially because Ceres is the same degree as the moon and the sun, right? And we also see here that Pallas is making a square to the sun and the moon. And then lastly, we've got Jupiter trine the moon and sextile the sun. So there's, there's some nice harmonious energy to play around with, to explore during this full moon in Virgo. Of course, we've got some of the Earth activations here. We've got Jupiter in Taurus, we've got the moon in Virgo, we have Ceres in Capricorn. So, I do think that this provides some, practicality and soothing. Like this, to me, this is a full moon that's going to be relatively soothing to our soul, soothing to our creativity, tapping into our imagination, but really drawing from our resources in this respect as well. But at the same time, thinking outside of the box, right? With all that Aquarius energy too. We've got to keep that in mind. And then lastly, we've got the Uranus trine Juno retrograde as well. So some spontaneous changes, surprises, a little bit of chaos. Fun, hopefully. But then again, with the Virgo energy, it's almost like, okay, I need to get things in order. When I think about this, it's interesting because my ascendant is in Virgo and it's actually at 15 degrees. So this one I think is going to be quite significant for me personally because Juno is going to be right on my ascendant. Aha. Wonder what that could mean. Just reflecting on it right now. Okay. So just as a reminder, if I move on to the next slide. Where am I? Sorry, just need to move on to the next slide. Let me just see. Okay. Numerology. Hello, creator. Welcome to this live stream. Hope you're doing well, creator. So just as a reminder here, full moons, what do they represent? So during full moons, we reset. It's a time of release. It's a time to shed, especially in Virgo, okay? Especially in Virgo, because Virgo, just to remind you, is that sign that says, this does not work for me. I've tried it. I've chewed on this for a little while. I've gotten this taste from it. These are the nutrients that I'm getting from this. But you know what? The rest, I'll leave. Okay, so it is really about being able to assess what is for you, what's not for you, what is right for you, what's not right for you, and what needs to go. Okay, this is the type of energy that says I'm doing away with all the rubbish. Okay, cutting out all the junk, cutting out all the rubbish, and I don't mean that in terms of food here. I just mean this in terms of life situations, life circumstances that just do not align with us anymore, okay? Especially because this is the final full moon of the astrological year as well, okay? And then we're also coming to the end of the cycle, right? Because Pisces is the final sign of the zodiac. Pisces represents endings. And then Aries is all about beginnings, fresh, new, having a spring in our step. No pun intended when we think about how it aligns with spring. So, yes, with this Virgo energy plus all the Pisces, I think that we are about to enter a time period, of course, coming into Pisces season, where it is about, okay, that needs to go. That does not serve me. That is not for me. Oh, do you know what? That belongs to somebody else. Let it pass. Let that pass on. Bye. But it's also thinking about things in a pretty logical way, okay, which we may find a challenge in doing because Mercury will also be in Pisces. Of course, like I said, Mercury is the dispositor of the moon. So maybe there is a little bit of just dare to dream, dare to visualize. More so tap into, okay, well, what is the subconscious trying to communicate here? What's the unconscious trying to bring to me? Pay attention to your dreams greatly during Pisces season because they may very well be vivid and they may have something to tell you about your situation, about your circumstances. And then it's also about exploring the symbolism, right? Pisces is so much about, seeing reading all the patterns and the symbols and what does this mean? How does this connect? How does this relate? And then with the moon being in Virgo, it is being able to piece those things together in practical ways and making it all look very polished and clean. So anyway, full moons, yeah, very much about releasing, shedding, closing chapters, closing doors, But what I'll also say with this is reaping rewards, which we're going to talk about in just a moment, especially to do with reaping rewards. But it really is a time of clarity. This is a full moon of real clarity, okay? It's like, I see this. I see this, but I also, I can't ignore this. I can't deny this. With all the Pisces energy, you may want to, because Pisces can be like this, where they bury their heads in the sand. When life gets too difficult, Pisces just wants to swim away, okay? Pisces wants to escape and run into their hiding spot. And it's like, no, I don't want to deal with that. It's too much. But this is actually a full moon that says, face your fears. Honestly, this is a full moon. I think it's so much about facing your fears, especially when we consider how we've got the Aquarius energy as well at the same time. We've got Pluto there, we've got Mars there, we've got Venus there. And the dispositor of this Aquarius energy is big Saturnian energy. Saturn. Okay, so Saturn is very much about maturity, responsibility, okay? Bringing form to our visions, bringing form to our dreams. This, I think, is the type of energy that says, okay, you got to strip it back. Okay, this is like strip it back to the simplest form possible. And what I mean by stripping it back is think about, goals, intentions. Think about the things that you want to achieve, especially, with Saturnian energy. It's like, what do I want to achieve with my life? Where do I see myself long term? And then with the sun being there as well, I think this is so much about purpose too, right? But when you strip it back and you bring it back to its simplest, purest form, we kind of think about the alchemical process to do with Virgo as well. It's also then being able to be realistic, to be somewhat practical. Okay. So for example, if you kind of think, oh, do you know what? Well, I would really like to, let's say, I really want to buy a house. And you may be unrealistic about buying the house because your actions do not align with your goals. What you're doing in your everyday life, Virgo energy, it's not really aligning with the dream, Pisces. So I think this is really a full moon where it's going to get us to reevaluate, right? We're reevaluating what are the small steps, the practical measures that we're going to put in place. What plans are we going to put in place in order to achieve our dreams? But just be cautious of just going, oh, well, I'm just going to ignore that. I'm going to ignore that. I don't care. Even with the Aquarius energy, Aquarius energy can at times be quite apathetic or sort of dispassionate. Aquarius energy can kind of go, oh, I don't care, whatever, just speak that away. So, there could be some challenges there, especially because there are those inconjunctions happening between the moon and the Aquarius energy. But I think that this is a full moon that's really going to ask us to reassess what our goals and what our intentions are. And we're going to, as I said, we're going to touch more on this in a moment. But yeah, clarity during this full moon. And even clarity when it comes to our health, clarity when it comes to our well-being. This could be a full moon where it goes, where have you just put too much of your energy and you're exhausted, you're run down, okay? Mercury, the dispositor of the moon again in Pisces, and it can be where I've tried everything, all avenues I've tried, everything I've explored, and I just keep coming up against the same roadblocks. Saturn, the same thing over and over and over and over. And, you do the same thing over and over and over. It's just complete insanity. So I think the moon in Virgo is sort of like, there's tweaks you can make. There's changes you can make here. And then plus the Aquarius energy, it's like innovation, okay? Aquarius in this, I would say, beneficial, motivating quality is that of innovation. It's time to innovate. It's time to reinvent ourselves. It's time to explore new avenues. It's time to explore new ways of doing things. And you just might find that by making certain changes, tweaks, and by trying new things, Aquarius, you can indeed achieve your dreams, Pisces. Woohoo! Okay, so the other thing I want to say with this is a Virgo deacon. So this, of course, further adds to the Virgo energy, right? And because this moon is happening at 5 degrees. This is a Leo degree. So Leo energy, it says, rejoice, right? Rejoice, celebrate, confidence. This is what we want during this full moon. The Virgo energy can, of course, be humble and modest. But Leo says, yes, okay, okay, be humble, be modest, but also, you've got this, right? Be your own cheerleader during this full moon. Believe in yourself. You can do this. And with this being 5 degrees, the number 5 in numerology, I think someone asked about numerology in the chat. But the number 5 is what? It's freedom, it's excitement, it's vibrancy, it's energy. I want to explore something new and fresh and it's that adventurous energy. So we have some of this oomph. Okay? There's an oomph to this full moon, which, come on, are we here for it? Are we here for it? Okay, so let's move on to the next slide. Right. So, like I said, with the full moon, there's going to be clarity. There's something about clarity coming up. There's something about reaping rewards. So you're going to look to your Virgo house. What's happening in your Virgo house? Of course, we're going to look at your horoscopes as well, but I like to break down a few aspects just so you can be in the know. So there was a new moon in Virgo, which happened August 2022. So this was when we set intentions. We set intentions within our Virgo house, okay? So, let's think about maybe intentions to do with routines, intentions to do with daily habits and schedules, anything that you really wanted to clean up, polish up, anything related to your health in that way as well. So intentions within the Virgo area. And then there was the first quarter moon. So this was May 2023. So that was you think about last May, which is kind of interesting because the first quarter moon is happening in Taurus tomorrow, and then the new moon in Taurus happens around May 2023. So you kind of see like the overlaps. I digress. So the first quarter moon in Virgo, I think, is highlighting some challenge. It highlighted some challenge, but it was also a good opportunity for us to strengthen, right? To strengthen things, to kind of see, right, okay, how can I overcome this obstacle, overcome this challenge? Because when it comes to first quarter moons, we can be challenged. So the intentions that we set during the new moon, they can be slightly challenged by that first quarter moon time period or during that time period. But it is also about, okay, trying to strengthen here. Now, this is a moon then of illuminating the intentions that we set August 2022. And I want to bring your attention or remind you of this square. So during that new moon in Virgo, there was a square to Mars in Gemini. Do you remember the Mars retrograde in Gemini? Anyone remember that? That happened October 2022, around that time, all the way up until coming into 2023. That was a retrograde that really had us like exploring many new, fresh ideas within our Gemini house, but it could have been relatively overwhelming because that Mars energy, it can be aggressive and assertive, and really driven and passionate and motivated, this ambitious energy, but really being ambitious about ideas and thoughts and connections and collaborating and information and knowledge and learning and all this stuff. So interesting. I think it was an interesting time, to say the least. So that new moon energy making the square to Mars and Gemini, that actually could have been somewhat challenging in terms of, okay, the Gemini part of having all of the kind of the ideas and being quite creative and being mentally stimulated, but then the Virgo part of it where, yes, I'm also creative and I also want to explore new ideas, but I also have to think about how such things are applied in a practical way. So there could have been a little bit of conflict in this respect back then. Still, this is a full moon that will illuminate those intentions. So it is looking at maybe a bit of a reset or a bit of a release. It's like, okay, I'm releasing this. I can see this more clearly now. Rewards as well can very well happen where, maybe you realize, actually, I've come such a long way since then within my Virgo house. Things have really improved. My routines are so much better. My schedules are so much better. When I can reflect on this for myself, I have a Virgo rising, like, right? So that rising energy with the first house energy, I can see how my aims and my goals have really changed. But the way I kind of see it is it's fine tuning. It's like, oh, you take a little piece away. You take a little piece away. Oh, okay, I've tried this. I've experimented with this. Oh, that's not working. Okay, a little bit. Tune it, tune it, tune it, tune it, tune it. Get it just right. It's like what came to my mind. Do you know the story? Do you know the story Goldilocks and the Three Bears, right? Goldilocks and the Three Bears. Goldilocks goes into the Three Bears' house, goes and eats the daddy bear's porridge, is like, oh no, it's too hot, too hot, too hot, too hot, too hot. Oh, eats the mama bear's. Oh, too cold, too cold, too cold. No, no, no. Eats the baby bear's. It's like, oh, that's just right. That's Virgo, right? See, when Virgo can like get to a point within a role, within a position where things are just like it's just right. That's the spot. That's like the perfect spot. Okay. That is amazing for Virgo. Like when when you're cleaning, right? You're cleaning, you're hoovering your carpets. Do you know that noise that comes up through the hoover, and it's the I love that sound. It may sound really silly to some people. Do you get that? Do you ever get that about cleaning places, or those little signs? But it's so satisfying to kind of see, oh, that's all clean. It's all, it's now all better. It's improved. This is Virgo, okay? And this is what you kind of want to look out for when it comes to your Virgo house. And that can manifest in many different ways, whether this be cooking, cleaning, whether this be your work, whether this be even something that you enjoy doing in terms of a hobby, okay? But anyway, all this is to say that this is a full moon of reward and clarity. And it's like, oh, right. Yes, I see it. I see the habit. I see the pattern. I see how much I've changed. During full moons too, I would even suggest like, give yourself a freaking pat on the back, right? Especially with Virgo. It's like, give yourself a pat on the back and see that you've achieved quite a bit, and you've shown up, and you've worked hard, you've put the effort in, you've put the hours in. Virgo loves to work. Virgo loves to be of service. So this is a full moon where, yeah, I would even suggest, yes, clarity, but also being able to step back and say, I did that and I'm proud of myself. Okay, so the dispositor, like I said, of the moon is Mercury, and it's opposite in Pisces along with Saturn and Sun. And this, I think, further is why it's important to take a moment of acknowledgement. Because the thing with Saturn conjunct the Sun, it can suggest a little bit of restriction, right? Restriction, hesitation. Oh, I don't know. Oh, if I can do this, am I worth this? And then there can also be the going into the self, right? With this being in Pisces, where you could very well dive more so into yourself. And it's like, I don't want to talk to people. I don't want to be out there right now. You just want to hide away. And sure, okay, maybe for some people, it is a beneficial time to hide away, to contemplate, to reflect. It's a good time to really see, right, okay, what is the next step before we come into Aries season and it's the astrological new year and everything else. Yes, okay. But that's very different to this energy of pure fear, right? Maybe this is a beneficial time to really address our fears and our phobias, because that's the thing. Pisces energy can rule these areas. Pisces can be a very fearful sign. But the thing is that those fears, a lot of the times, yes, okay, sometimes they are rational fears, like there's a rational reason for why you're afraid of something. But other times they're irrational. They're so irrational. They're not based on logic. They're not based on reason. They're not based on any type of evidence. And even with Mercury being in Pisces, it could be where you believe those certain, whoo, you know, I'm believing these fears. I'm giving into these fears. And oh no, I'm not capable of this. And oh my gosh, that thing that person said to me, it really has impacted me. And so try and not sink. Okay. This is a full moon that says don't sink. Don't believe the chaos. Don't believe the words that people say. Like really use discernment. Okay. Virgo energy says use discernment. Assess the situation for what it is and consider what is evidently showing in reality. Because the thing with Pisces energy is it can get caught up in all of the delusional thoughts, the oh, this is true and that's true. But really, Virgo energy says, we're not doing that. We're not doing that. That's not the reality. So I think this is also a full moon of great truth. Now, the dispositor of Pisces is Jupiter, and Jupiter's in Taurus. And Jupiter in Taurus is making a lovely trine to the moon and a sextile to the sun in Pisces. And then, of course, you know, Mercury and Saturn. The sextile between Jupiter and Saturn is actually stronger. Just want to say that because Saturn is 9 degrees and then Jupiter is 10 degrees. But here we are. This is nice energy flow. This is the type of energy that that says, I've got you. You're held. You're supported. Do you know what? You have the skills. Do you know what? You've been studying this, whatever it is, for a long time. And as well, you're so worth it. You're worth the successes that you wish to gain or achieve within your Taurus house. Because, of course, you know, Jupiter in Taurus, it has been a challenging time. It has been a challenging time for so many people. Jupiter first entered Taurus around May 2023. And on its first arrival, oh my goodness, it was getting hit by Mars. It was getting hit by Pluto, right? All of these power struggles and so many fears and having to make certain cuts, noticing inflation, right? Jupiter expanding whatever it touches. So when Jupiter in the sign of Taurus, and Taurus is the sign of wealth and money and earnings and savings and spending and budgeting, it just expanded all of it. But then at the same time, these other planets getting involved could have suggested setbacks and frustrations and anger and like, why is this not working? It's not going according to plan. But here's the thing, maybe it's part of a bigger purpose, a bigger plan. It always has been. You just don't, you don't see it when it comes to Jupiter, right? Because Jupiter is the bigger picture. You can't really see the bigger picture. How does one see the bigger picture whenever we're from this viewpoint? But here's the other thing about it. Let's take this a step further. There will be the conjunction between Uranus and Jupiter, April. So that's going to happen around the 20th of April of this year. That's really going to be like a bird's eye view. That's going to be a flash of insight. That's going to be oh my gosh, I was stressing out for so long and I was like this and this and this. Oh, but I see it now. I see it. It's so clear. It's so vivid. So that should be pretty exciting, I think. Hopefully. With Uranus energy, expect the unexpected always, right? I know. But the point being, I think Jupiter in Taurus, yeah, there have been challenging times, but at the same time, Jupiter in Taurus has oh my gosh, I can't explain the importance of how patience is a virtue. Jupiter in Taurus has come along and it said, yeah, okay, there's a block there, there's a block there, there's a block there. Oh, things are happening over here, which you probably didn't plan for, you probably didn't expect. Oh, that's not going to plan. Okay. But you just got to be patient through it. Just got to try, keep your head down, keep at it. And also ask yourself, what are the things that you feel make you feel the most content in life? And go towards that. Contentment, simplicity, Don't overcomplicate it, Jupiter says. So I think Jupiter and Taurus, with the energy flow the way it will be during the full moon, I actually think it's going to create a lot of anchoring. And I think as well, as Jupiter starts to continue to move forward through Taurus, we're going to notice more of the rewards come in. More of the blessings, more of the gifts to do with Jupiter, more prosperity in this way, and perhaps some improvement as time goes on. But here's the thing. It depends on where you are along your personal journey, right? It depends on what steps you've been taking since Jupiter first entered Taurus around May. What plants have you placed into the ground, into the earth? And what plants have you been nourishing? What plants have you been watering? Have you been consistent? What lessons have you learned with respect to consistency and stability? And how have you laid a solid foundation as well, with Saturn coming into it? Still, I think Jupiter in Taurus can be quite helpful to us during this full moon. And I think it's going to remind us of our worth. It's going to remind us of our capabilities. It's going to remind us, hey, you know what, you do. You're a lot more in the know than you realize. Or you're a lot more secure right now than you think. I've got you. Now, with that being said, we also have to keep in mind Jupiter is making the squares to Mars and Venus in Aquarius. So this is also the type of energy that's ushering in change. But I think what this is highlighting is whenever we hold on too tightly to change, or to resisting change rather, whenever we're trying to, I think this is the type of energy that's sort of saying, okay, I'm really grappling between this is what I see and this is what I desire for my future versus, but this is what's familiar. This is what's comfortable for me. And so it's that sort of battle, I think. It's that tension, it's that frustration. There's a resistance there, isn't there? Between what is familiar and what is new. But how can you perhaps even assess these parts of yourself during the full moon? And I think that the answers will become a lot more clear as Venus and Mars start to continue through the sign of Aquarius. So throughout March, and then even as we start to approach the Uranus-Jupiter conjunction in April, I think that is especially going to be very eye-opening, but we'll talk more about that closer to the time. Okay, so Ceres will also trine the moon and sextile the sun at the same degree. So all these 5 degrees, Leo degrees. So when we think about Ceres, this dwarf planet, Ceres can be also linked to our self-esteem, our self-worth. It can be linked to how it is that we nourish ourselves. Attachment as well is a big word, I think, when it comes to Ceres. How attached are we to people and situations? And do we have a healthy attachment? So I think this can even indicate the types of attachments we have to work or to success or to spirituality, and how things sort of play out on that level for us. But it's also, I think, looking at it through a lens of being creative and being playful and explorative, right, with the Leo energy. And then we also notice how there is the Pallas T-square. So Pallas, of course, can look at strategy, right? Having a strategy, creative intelligence as well, creative visualization too comes up when it comes to Pallas. But Pallas in Sagittarius is very much about the bigger picture, seeing those bigger connections. And I think a big part of it is to do with justice as well. So with the squares here to Virgo and Pisces, it could be that Pallas is sort of acting as a bit of a a resolver, a bit of a mediator, um, asking us to look at the bigger picture, right? It is interesting when you kind of do look at how all of the aspects communicate with one another, because like I said earlier, Jupiter is in Taurus, and then that is looking at the bigger picture of our wealth and of our resources and our materials and everything. So maybe it is kind of drawing it back a little bit to that Taurus point, but then at the same time with Palace, I think this is also adding to a bit of spontaneity or a bit of growth or being able to believe in our path, right? Sagittarius energy is so much about self-belief. Now, with that being said, Gemini opposite is also like a sensitive point then, if we were to think of it that way. So with that sensitive point, I think, well, if we consider how Mercury rules both Gemini and Virgo, and it's in Pisces, Mercury in Pisces is really quite a significant planet to look out for during this full moon. But yes, I think the sensitive area here then is possibly overthinking, worrying about the next step, freaking out about the many balls you have that you're juggling, okay? And maybe as well thinking about how we can try to bring ourselves more so to a place of, okay, I need to just park that. I need to just think of one step at a time and not get so carried away as well. Now, with that being said, we do notice here how, Vesta has been in Gemini for quite a while. Yes, sure, okay, there's no aspects in this way, but I, just want to mention it quickly because I think with Vesta in Gemini, Vesta looks at our eternal flame, how we really protect that. So there's this type of protection, I think, when it comes to our studies and our research and even thinking about networking and connections and everything. So looking to the Gemini house and what we have been trying to really harness and protect. So that could be a sensitive area essentially during this full moon as well. And I also want to mention then that Pallas is making a sextile to Mars and Venus. So if we think about how Pallas again looks at strategic thinking, it looks at creative visualization. Well, the sextiles I think can be quite supportive then, if really, because Sagittarius energy seeks freedom and independence, but then Aquarius also can be like this, but there is this originality, right? So I think this is the type of energy that says explore the path that you haven't taken before. This is what I'm getting from this full moon. There are many paths that you haven't tried. There are many paths that you haven't went down. And maybe this is about taking the leap. Maybe this is about having the courage, having the confidence, right? The Mars energy, there's that courage and there's that ambition there as well, but to take that leap. But then it's also, I think, about, again, going back to belief. And with the Venus energy, I think there's a part of it where doing it for others in a way too, a little bit, doing it for your relationships, doing it for your values, doing it for another reason that isn't just you as well. Thinking about the collective, thinking about your communities, your teams, your groups, with all this Aquarius energy, to be honest with you, over the next couple of weeks or so, perhaps there are many people who are really evaluating the communities they're a part of and the groups they want to connect with, the clubs that they join, etc., and the friendships that they have. So I think that these areas are very much on our minds. And I think that this is a full moon that is further going to usher in these changes. And lastly, Juno retrograde, trine Uranus as well. So some surprises and unexpected changes essentially when it comes to meaningful bonds. And even with this being in Virgo, perhaps those meaningful bonds and relationships are linked somehow to our work or to our services. So that could be a potentiality. And even if we think about how Taurus is, again, it's tied to our finances and our earnings, then perhaps that is looking at financial prospects or reward or benefits via work relationships or a work situation. Okay, so let's move on to the next slide. So like I said, Venus and Mars will conjunct, and then there will be that square to Jupiter. So the other thing I want to add then with this is, of course, overcommitment is likely. Promises, making promises that we cannot fulfill. That's maybe something just to be cautious of. And at the same time, this is the type of energy where there's a lot of power, right? I even feel this right now with Mars conjunct Pluto right now, and then Venus is also going to follow suit tomorrow. There are many people where it's like, yes, power, energy, assertiveness, go. I'm feeling it. I'm here for it. But I also like at the same time that there's some grounded practical energy too, helping me center myself with, how Saturn and Jupiter are still making that sextile. I like that. And then even the moon is in Taurus right now. So we're here for it. We're here for a nice mix. We're here for a balanced life. But this can also highlight, being free-spirited, right? Jupiter, you think about Jupiter and looking at freedom, but then you also kind of think about Aquarius, and it's very much the sign of I do what I want. I don't have to answer to anyone, okay? I question authority. I don't follow the rules. This is this type of energy. It can be fun. It can be enjoyable to really like play around with something new. But of course, there can also be the power struggles and the demanding energy, the authoritative energy. So just be cautious of that. Still, this is the type of energy that says getting our ideas off the ground. This is ambitious energy. I even know for me, the past few nights, I've had trouble sleeping. I'm exhausted at the end of the night. I'm exhausted and I want to sleep, but I can't sleep because I don't know. Am I gonna put this down to the fact that Mars is conjunct Pluto right now? Am I gonna do that? Maybe. I think that's what I'm trying to insinuate. But yes, it's been hard to sleep. And do you know what? Maybe the actual sort of practical reason as to why that is because I am thinking about the next step. I'm thinking about my future. I'm thinking about all these many ideas just swirling around in my brain of like, oh, I could do this, I could do this. So it's trying to just turn my think box off. Still, this is powerful energy. It's electrifying. It's electrifying. But it's also sensual and sexual, right? But in alternative ways. Okay, this could be a good time period to really revive like a sexual energy, sexual tension or anything to do with your relationships where you want to try something new. Okay, you want to try something outside of the box. You're willing to explore alternatives, other options. So, yeah, this could be quite useful for that. This energy can suggest that. But it's also courage and strength and physical energy. For example, I'll give you an example, right? I went to the gym yesterday and I had a couple of weeks where I wasn't at the gym because my birthday, had a little bit of a break, whatever have you. I'm sitting thinking to myself, you know what? I have had a little bit of a rest, so I may not lift as heavy. And that's okay. That's fine. Completely fine. I accept that. But no, I lifted heavier. I was like, what? Hi. Pluto square Mars. No, but for real, I was kind of surprised by that, right? I was kind of taken aback by that. I'm like, oh, right, okay, I'm actually lifting heavier. Oh, so maybe there is something in the air to do with feeling strong, right? Feeling this physical energy, just overflowing with it, overflowing with the passion and the creativity. So we're gonna still feel these energies, I think, coming up to the full moon in Virgo. But of course, with the square to Jupiter, it is also about considering when we overdo it, right? So, for example, I do not want to not sleep for long periods of time, I'm like, no. Even on that note, right? I'm kind of thinking about this more. I think the thing about this too is just to give it time. So, for example, maybe it is that you're feeling pumped up about a new opportunity, right? You're pumped up about perhaps a new way of earning money, a new job, a new relationship, whatever it is, right? You're feeling motivated. There's that kind of like desire and that passion present. But perhaps what this is suggesting is to try not to get so carried away with things, to also be patient, to also remind yourself of just one step at a time. You don't need to rush, you don't need to force. Just see how you feel the next day and then the next day. Just baby steps. And try not to overcommit or overextend, because you could just be where you're completely burnt out and you don't have much energy left then because of that. Still, this is a fun, creative energy. It's passionate, it's enjoyable. Seeking pleasure is a big thing. Attraction here as well. Especially with Pluto as a part of this, of course, much more strong now leading up to the full moon. But that can be like really magnetic, alluring, seductive energy. And the other thing I want to mention is how the North Node and Chiron are conjunct during this full moon. And this also means that Chiron is opposite it opposes the South Node in Libra. So Venus is the dispositor of the South Node, and that's in Aquarius. And then Mars is the dispositor of the North Node and Chiron, and that's also in Aquarius. So what does this kind of, this combination, this recipe suggest? Healing and growth of the South Node and the North Node and Chiron is so much about independence, freedom, originality, innovation, standing for something, for a cause, for a movement, for a human right. This is about rising up. This is about our autonomy. This is about being a fighter, being a warrior, okay? You can do it energy. And a lot of this then is so profound and helpful when it comes to any healing, right? Any wounds, any confidence issues, any times when we've played small, any times when we've given up. We've given up before we even tried, right? This is the type of energy that says, no, do it. Do it. You can do it. Believe in yourself. Okay. So I think, yes, that's us. And then we're going to move on to your horoscopes. Hi, Danielle. Welcome. Hello. Hi. Hope you're doing good. Hope you're doing well. Thank you so much for being here, everyone. So I'm going to get timestamps now, and then we'll go through your horoscopes. Right. So firstly, we are looking at Aries. So Aries, this full moon is going to happen in your 6th house. So August 2022, you set new intentions with respect to your work, your daily habits, your daily rituals, your routines. And then come May 2023, these intentions, they were challenged, but there was also some strengthening there. There was the ability to strengthen such challenges or to overcome such challenges, to learn from them. But with the full moon happening here, this is about clarity. I think many of you Aries are going to gain so much clarity about what the next step is with respect to work, with respect to your services. And even thinking about your health and thinking about your daily rituals. At the same time, there's the opposition to Pisces in the 12th house. So I do think Aries, this is actually a beneficial time to really just get quiet with yourself. Journal, listen to music, meditate, focus on your own inner healing, self-exploration here, Aries, especially because your season is up next. So the sun is going to enter Aries on the 20th, 21st of March. Okay, so the new astrological year is upon us. And so I think this is a full moon, and this is a good time period for you to relax, recharge, decompress, reassess the situation, right? Even connect with God, okay? Connect with a higher power, whatever it is that you believe in, whether you believe in God or not. You may not, okay? You may not believe in God, but whatever sort of rituals you have, even thinking about, maybe you consider yourself to be quite a spiritual person, it is a good time to go within. It's also a good time to dream, to visualize, play around with the fantasy world, Aries. And I also think that this could be where there are serious moves and steps that you're seeking to make, even when it comes to any sort of behind the scenes roles or positions that you take on. And of course, that could even involve work. I just want to say that, but I digress. The other thing I want to mention is Jupiter. So Jupiter is the dispositor of all of the Pisces energy. So that's in the second house during this full moon. So I think the clarity that you're trying to gain here, the contemplation that you're doing here, will be so much linked to your resources, your possessions, what you want to earn, how you want to save, how you want to spend. I think that it is about just having that time period to really be slow, to be methodical, to be somewhat steady, right? Just trying your best and relax and to tap into something that's pleasurable. Thinking about your senses, okay, sensuality here, Aries. Quite useful. Okay, so next up, we have Taurus. If I just get my times. Taurus. So moving on to you. The full moon will happen in your fifth house. So August 2022, you set new intentions with respect to love, romance, dating, pleasure, joy, happiness, even thinking about your creativity, your creative projects. And then by May 2023, these intentions that you set, okay, they were challenged. Your commitments were tested. But it was also a good opportunity for you to overcome. Okay, there was a great deal of strengthening present. And so coming up to this full moon, I think that this is about such clarity. Clarity in terms of perspective. Whether you are in a relationship or you're a single Taurus person, okay? Gaining clarity about why you're single or gaining clarity about the type of relationship you're in, who you're with, or the types of things that you're attracted to in a partner. And to be fair, Taurus, you could be quite particular about the types of people you're interested in. I think, I think there is a part of it where you're quite attracted to people who, they know how to look after themselves. They know how to take care of themselves. They're clean, they're polished, they're pretty well-rounded. So maybe there is some clarity there. But then I also think that this is about looking at rewards that you may very well reap with respect to your creativity, creative projects you've been working on, Taurus, whenever you have a creative project that you care about, that you love, that you enjoy, you make time for it. You're consistent with it. You are going to put in the work, and you're also going to pay attention to the details. You're going to be quite particular as well. So yes, this could be a full moon where there's much clarity, but there's also some rewards that are gained, or it's that, okay, there's a release. there's a release in terms of, not interested in that anymore, or this way of viewing this hobby or form of enjoyment, I want to change it. I want to make some tweaks. At the same time, there is the Pisces stellium happening in your 11th house. So with the Pisces energy in the 11th, I think a lot of Taurus, there's endings here. There's something about coming to the end of a cycle with respect to community, with respect to teams and organizations and groups that you're a part of. So this could be you gaining some type of clarity about the amount of respect that you receive, or maybe this is about looking at the amount of authority that you have or somebody else has within a group scenario, or perhaps looking to purpose, especially thinking about any of you Taurus that really want to make an impact on the world around you in terms of maybe something charitable, maybe something very generous, right? Thinking here about how you wish to give back to others, how you wish to improve the world, what sort of changes do you want to see within your future, even looking at your hopes and wishes for the future here. So there could be some views and commitments here coming up and changes that you wish to see. And for the long haul, may I add with that. And at the same time, Jupiter, which is the dispositor of the Pisces energy, that's in your first house. So I think with that, this really is it's a useful, helpful, inspirational full moon to do with the next step, to do with your future here, Taurus. Considering how, with Jupiter being in your sign since May 2023, many of you have been looking at and thinking about the bigger picture here when it comes to your life path, what you want out of life, what you value, what's worth it to you, what's meaningful to you. And having this view of you want to explore, you want to grow. So I think the sextiles to the 11th house here, or the fact that Jupiter is the dispositor of the 11th, I think it really speaks to you wanting to grow and develop as a person, really, but realizing that there's something about the audience, there's something about the masses, about people, right? People that you need on your team, people that you want on your side, and wanting to really connect with people who are inspirational and insightful and who you feel are guiding you along a new, healthy, and prosperous path. So we're going to move on to Gemini. Okay, so Gemini, this, let me just, 2 seconds. Just need to change that. Okay, perfect. Okay. Gemini. Moving on then to Gemini. So Gemini, this full moon is going to happen in your 4th house. So you set new intentions August 2022 to do with, intentions to do with family, home, heritage, thinking about your roots, traditions as well, thinking about family traditions, considering as well intentions with respect to your emotional well-being, your emotional needs. And then by May 2023, these intentions that you set, they were challenged, okay? There was some tension, there was some frustration. It was like, I have to overcome this. Commitments challenged and tested, of course, and at the same time, growing as a person through them, strengthening energy. So with the full moon happening here in Virgo, this is going to be a full moon that's going to illuminate a lot of the stuff that has sort of progressed over the past few years. There's this clarity, there's this illumination to do with family and home. And oh my gosh, I can't believe we've come so far when it comes to a child situation, for instance. Or maybe this is looking at all of the systems that you've set up when it comes to family and home. This could even be where there's a greater system in place with respect to healthy boundaries, right? Or healthy give and take, or using healthy discernment, healthy discretion as well, when it comes to family, especially, if certain family members are maybe not really good for your health and your well-being, and you're noticing that and you're thinking, oh, this is actually quite draining for me and this isn't really healthy for me and I don't really want this. So yeah, there could be some major clarity coming up, right? But then I think it's also looking at the rewards, right? So this could be, for instance, let's say, for example, you're a Gemini and you've been saving so hard to perhaps move into a certain property. Of course, the fourth house can look at our home and property and everything in this respect. So just as an example, yeah, you could very well have been saving for a certain property, but now coming up to the full moon, you really say, oh my gosh, I'm so glad that I made those changes. I'm so glad that I was able to create some sort of order here. I was able to organize. I was able to do my research. I think many Gemini are actually really interested in renovating homes. This is what I'm getting. Gemini, I think, very interested in their space, right? So being able to move certain things within their space so that it doesn't just look good, right? But it's also about how it feels. Okay. There's a certain energy to the home, there's a flow. Yeah. I think a lot of it has to do with a feeling. So I have found through my own sort of observations when it comes to Gemini is um, the ability to move things around quite frequently. That does make sense, of course, because with Gemini being a mutable sign, Virgo also being a mutable sign, there is that changeability, changing your space. So, on that note, it could be that this is a full moon where there is greater clarity and rewards with respect to changing your space, right? Now, what I further want to mention is the Pisces energy in the 10th house. So there also seems to be some major endings coming up, or major shifts, major changes to do with your profession, to do with your purpose, your life's work, right? I find the 10th house to be quite an interesting one, because the 10th house, yes, it can look at career, it can look at status. But then the thing is that it can also look at purpose, and purpose doesn't just have to be about our career, right? And I think that you, of all signs, Gemini with Pisces in the 10th, you're so tuned into this sort of idea or this concept, where you realize that you're not just tied into kind of this one thing, and you shouldn't have to. And anyone who tries to sort of label you to tell you, you're this, you're this, you're like, no. So maybe for you, purpose is going to be a big part of it, especially thinking about where you're guided toward, right? I think for many Gemini, it's like, where am I being guided? It's not so much about um this is the exact thing that I want to be, and I'm going to work toward that. Of course, I do think that there is an element of it, but there's still the part of it where you can flow. You can sort of flow really well, and you're open to sort of new possibilities and opportunities. So this could be a full moon where there is a lot of this coming up, and many questions about the next step, and where do I go from here, and where do I kind of suit in this way? Where can I fit in? What's calling to me? And maybe just dabbling into something new, trying out new skills or new tools, for instance. But then again, a lot of this could be more of a visual thing, more of a dreamy thing, sort of more idealistic, right? But that can be useful too. It can be useful to play around with the fantasy world, to kind of think, how can I imagine that? So that is interesting. And the thing about it too is Jupiter will be in Taurus, of course, in your 12th house. Okay, so this further just adds to what I just said. It further just clarifies to me that, yeah, this is a full moon where I think Gemini, it is more about, okay, I've done this, I've taken this step, but now I'm going to take a step back. Now, yes, I can see that there is a big focus, a big emphasis on my profession or on my life's work or my next big step to do with my life path. But I also want to gain some type of clarity when I'm alone. And during my alone time, maybe it is about having a good long think about contentment. What brings you contentment in life? Where do you feel the most content? Where do you feel the most settled and secure? And maybe I think a lot of these bigger questions are going to come up during this full moon and you'll be able to seek clarity. Okay, so moving on to Cancer. Hi, Teresa. Hi, welcome. I hope you enjoyed the Gemini section. I hope you liked it. Right, so moving on to Cancer. So this full moon is going to happen in your third house, Cancer. All right. So August 2022, you set new intentions here with respect to things like the area that you live in. Okay, so thinking about your neighborhood, your local area, your local city. So basically, the town or the area that you are a part of, that you live in, and even intentions with respect to maybe vehicles or learning how to drive, or intentions with respect to siblings here as well, possibly even thinking about learning something new, a new skill, something to add, right? I think Cancers, you're continuously sort of adding to your intellectual skills, I think, little by little. And I also think that many Cancerians are so articulate, yeah, right? This is beautiful. But anyway, intentions were set basically August 2022. And then May 2023, the first quarter moon happened. And so during that time period, I think the intentions that you set were challenged and your commitments were tested. But this was also about being able to strengthen yourself through such changes and through such challenges. And so coming up to this full moon, so much clarity, so much insight. I think that for many Cancerians, it's a time period of seeing, oh, okay, so these are the connections and these are the problems that I'm able to solve here within my mind really, really well. Using critical thinking skills as well could be very uh, evident or significant during this full moon. Even let's think about how, the moon is your chart ruler. So it's interesting, I think, for Cancerians, because during new moons and full moons, that moon energy is it's quite a powerful thing, isn't it? Because the chart ruler is the moon. But anyway, I also think that this is a full moon where you're going to gain clarity about your local neighborhood, right? About maybe the type of area that you live in, anything that you wish to sort of clean up or change or improve upon, or even thinking about a certain vehicle that you have, what improvements are going to be made there, or anything you wish to add to what you already know. So, I mean, this could even be something as simple as, right, okay, you know how to drive, you've learned how to drive, but well, what about maybe a motorcycle, right? Or maybe you know how to ride a bike, you know how to do that. Oh, but maybe you're going to learn how to drive now. So, or, it could even be that there's some significance to do with commuting, right? So, how you get from A to B, how you get from your house to work, how you get from your house to the gym. So, playing around with sort of new approaches, new directions, new strategies, this type of stuff could very well come up during this full moon. And there's some clarity there, and maybe also reaping a few rewards, right? Gaining some type of useful feedback or constructive criticism, perhaps as well, from some people who you really respect and you look up to, whether this be a boss, a teacher, a parent, right? So a mentor. So you could gain some type of feedback, or possibly even thinking about siblings there too. And those sibling connections could possibly signal to you something that you didn't see before, but now that you gain new information, you can move forward with more clarity, but also being able to even put what you gain into good use. And Virgo likes to do that. Whatever it learns, it's about being practical with it. Right. So at the same time, there's all this ninth house energy, right? So the ninth house is also being activated. So I think that this further speaks to the sort of mentorship and even thinking about teaching, sharing. This could be Cancer where many of you are ready to take the next step when it comes to advanced training, when it comes to training other people, so training a certain member within a team, or looking at a management position when it comes to training, or possibly looking at how you wish to really improve and how you wish to step up with respect to higher education, any sort of qualifications that you wish to gain. And yeah, just seeing the bigger picture, I would say, when it comes to such matters, and exploring, having this open mindedness, having a greater understanding about what the next step is for you when it comes to higher education, and thinking also about, uh, greater questions with respect to publishing or broadcasting as well, seeing as the ninth house looks at these areas. Though, to be fair, the ninth house can also look at legal matters, okay? Certain legal issues, legal concerns. It could be a little bit tricky in this way for you, Cancer. So maybe in this respect, it is good just to kind of to get a few things in order, to be somewhat mature if there are any major legal concerns coming up. And the other thing about it even is how there is that sextile to Jupiter. So Jupiter is the dispositor of that Pisces energy. So, I think this could be quite an exciting time actually for Cancerians when it comes to groups and traveling, even for group reasons, right? To certain conferences, to certain meetings, to certain get togethers. So that's a big thing. Thinking even about certain competitions that could be coming up, or yeah, just events, right? Looking at events and how such events are strongly linked to your communities, your clubs. And the other thing, even just to add with this, is yes, the ninth house can also just look at long distance travel in general. So maybe there's something about certain wishes in terms of destinations you wish to travel to, maybe for relaxation purposes, for outdoors purposes, for pleasure purposes. It's like, okay, you want to travel for pleasure, but maybe there is a bit of business involved at the same time, or it's that, okay, there's business involved, but you also want a bit of pleasure. Yeah, I'm not necessarily saying that, during the full moon, you're going to travel to a destination. Of course, many of you could very well do that. But I think it's more so about, okay, these kind of things are more so on your mind, or you're considering how you wish to move forward in this way. Okay, so we're going to move on to Leo. I hope you're enjoying these so far. Thank you so much for being here, everyone. This is good. It's a good session. I'm feeling energetic today. Right, so moving on to Leo. So we've got the full moon happening in Virgo in the second house. Right, so Leo, August 2022, you set new intentions with respect to your skills, especially refining your skills. I find this when it comes to Leo, the ability to refine your skills, the ability to make those small changes, which you can see so clearly, and they can be extremely beneficial to you long term. Okay. So, yeah, you set new intentions with respect to your skills, and also with respect to your finances, your earnings, your savings, how you spend, all this type of stuff, investments that you make, etc. And, even setting new intentions with respect to your self worth and your self esteem. And then by May 2023, these matters were challenged. Okay. These things were challenged because there was the first quarter moon there, May 2023. But there was also the ability to overcome such challenges, to learn from such challenges, to become stronger. And as the full moon happens then in Virgo, here on the 24th of February, there's clarity, there's reward, there's illumination, there's the ability to release, right? It's like, oh, that does not serve me. Oh, actually, I can see that this is very useful to me. This is very practical. I'm going to keep that for myself, or I'm going to keep that. I'm going to apply that to my skills. So, yeah, I would say that there's something about illumination with respect to dedication, especially dedication and how that pertains to your finances and your earnings and the ways in which you do, make a living in this way. And there is the Pisces energy in the eighth house. So I do think at the same time, a lot of energy is being poured into that of shared resources and other people's resources and money in this respect, thinking even about certain loans you want to take out from the government, or even certain thinking about investments that you make, but seeing how those investments go a long way. Even thinking about certain stakeholders in this respect that you wish to sort of work with. And the other thing I want to mention is debt, right? So there could be some debts that are paid off, or you're realizing that there are certain debts that are holding you back, or they're limiting you from moving forward a little bit, and you're just trying to kind of work your way through those. Okay, that is a possibility. And maybe as well for Leo, there's something here about saving, right? So saving for something that's relatively bigger. And it is about, okay, we are both saving for this, or we're all saving for this, but it's for a bigger reason. And it's part of a shared account reason. It's part of a shared resource reason. So that could be another thing. Though, even just to talk about this in a more sort of psychological way, I mean, and a spiritual, emotional way, it could be for many Leos. This is a highly spiritual time, where it almost feels like your dreams are really vivid, or you're wanting to tap more into the esoteric for a bit, or you're getting really interested in psychology, psychological things, or you're really interested in the occult or paranormal, and there's just a lot of mystery in this respect. The only thing I want to mention with this, though, I think for Leo is just the kind of that cautiousness, maybe when it comes to nightmares or weird, freaky experiences. But then again, it could even be where there's some sort of psychic experiences coming up for many Leos, right? So there's that. And I also want to mention that Jupiter is making that sextile to this Pisces energy. Jupiter is the dispositor of Pisces. So for you, Leo, I think there's also the part of the full moon where you're feeling quite grounded and sensible about your life path, about the future. Jupiter, I think, in Taurus in the 10th house, it's brought its rewards, I think, for many Leos. And it's even just highlighted that you are quite creative people, and you're very consistent as well. You show a great deal of determination as well. And maybe there are lessons that will come up, these sort of spiritual lessons in combination with the eighth house, spiritual lessons to do with materials and your resources. It's quite fitting as well if you think about it, because this kind of links back to the second house in a way, because of course the second house is also linked to finances and materials too. So anyway, all of this is to say, Leo, I think that this could be quite an eye-opening time when it comes to your next step through a lens of your professional lives. So moving on to Virgo next. All right, so Virgo, this full moon is happening in your sign. Interesting. So Virgo, you are the star. You are the star of this full moon. Right. So August 2022, you set new intentions to do with your life path, your aims, your goals, right? Thinking here about your identity, and also thinking about your approach to life. You can be relatively methodical and particular about how you approach new situations. And I also think that you do prefer to give things your best. Whatever the project is, whatever the rule is, the relationship even, you want to give it 110%, Virgo. You will overperform. You will overperform You will go the extra mile, even if it's not needed and you're not even going to get credit for it. You're like, oh, yeah, I'll do that. Anyway, so it's not personal or anything. But anyway, yeah, so you could very well have set intentions, basically, back in August 2022. And then coming up to May 2023, the first quarter moon happens. And then that was when there were challenges, right? That was when your commitments were tested, very much so. And at the same time, you were also able to learn from those challenges. You were able to kind of go, oh, right, okay, so that didn't work. This is what I'm going to change. And then coming up to the full moon in your sign, yes, illumination, clarity, seeing it all, right? You see the vision, you see, oh, so this is what I want to do next. This is the new path. This is the new way forward. This is what's going to be helpful for me, for other people. This is a useful strategy. This is the best possible approach. Okay. And possibly as well, yes, there's clarity and everything, but there's also rewards, right? Reaping rewards and feeling somewhat sure sure about the next step. There's some being decisiveness. I think the full moon's an interesting one when I really think about it, because like I was saying earlier, right, this is the final full moon of the astrological year. And then with the full moon happening in your sign at the end of the astrological year, Virgo, I think it almost gives a nod to how this is about purifying matters. This is about, yes, releasing and endings to do with Pisces, but also seeing how you can just get rid of the things that just are not supportive of the next step coming into the new astrological year. I really enjoy that about Virgo and Pisces, sort of being on that axis. The two, as that axis, work as a team and remind us that if we want to progress forward into a new set of circumstances, we got to be honest with ourselves about what we need to let go of. And so when we look to Pisces, opposite in the 7th house, maybe what this is suggesting is that there's an ending with respect to business, possibly, right? Business relationships, certain contracts, certain commitments that you've made. Okay, it doesn't have to be from a contract, from an agreement, but it's like a commitment that you've maybe made to yourself or you've made to another person. And you kind of think, okay, I committed to that for so long, but I'm actually ready to move on. I'm ready for a change. I'm ready for something that's more challenging, you know? Maybe for many Virgos, if let's even throw in for this one, because I suppose it's your full moon. But let's even throw into this one the fact that there is the Aquarius energy in the 6th. And I think it is quite relevant to mention this even because Virgo, of course, does traditionally rule the 6th house. You know, the 6th house is sort of your domain. Let's just put it that way. So it does appear as if many Virgos are going through these huge, transitional, transformative periods when it comes to their services and their products and their work and their efforts that they've been putting in, and seeing that maybe Virgo, you want greater power, possibly. You want greater respect, possibly as well. Saturn then in the 7th house. So back to the 7th house. Yeah, I think this can highlight some sort of endings here, an ending of a cycle when it comes to relationships. And of course, this could be through a business relationship, but it also could be with respect to certain relationships, thinking about lovers or friends, but it doesn't have to be where like it's so dramatic. There's a sudden end. I think it's just more about certain behaviors and attitudes that are coming to an end within these relationships. And I think a lot of it has to do with you, doesn't it? I think a lot of it has to do with your inner world, right? Okay, looking at the 7th house through this lens of the mirror, and then even with Pisces energy, it's so much about the spiritual, okay, the inner worlds meeting the outer worlds. But yes, I think this could be quite a healing time then for many Virgos. And let's also put it this way: Jupiter is the dispositor of the Pisces energy, and that's in the ninth house. So, this could be where Virgo, this is a time period where you're feeling called to really want to share your knowledge and your wisdom in a whole new light, or in a way where you actually are getting the money that it's worth. You're seeing that you've been quite dedicated, or you've put in a lot of work and effort and energy and time. Your resources have been used up for certain business like purposes. And it's finally time to sort of see that, no, this is the next step I want to make. And this is the type of money that I want to earn. And maybe being really honest with yourself, being really truthful with yourself about what that looks like for you. Okay, so let's now move on to Libra. I did kind of go on a little bit there for you, Virgo. I hope that's okay, but I hope you find it to be helpful. All right, so moving on to Libra. This full moon, Libra, for you is happening in your 12th house. All right, okay. So for you, Libra, it's certainly a full moon where you're going to reflect. But let's just go back a minute. August 2022, there were intentions set. Okay, so you set intentions to do with, for instance, the services that you provide. You set intentions to do with rest, being able to recharge, relaxations, retreats as well could have been a big thing, right? So thinking about retreating, or even, hosting retreats possibly for some Libras, or even looking at setting intentions with respect to your mental health, right? Your mental health, sleep, spirituality. So with May, during May 2023, you also face challenges. So these intentions that you set, they were challenged and your commitments were tested. But this was also an opportunity for you to become stronger, for you to overcome such challenges. So coming up to this full moon, it's like, oh, right, okay, there is so much clarity, but a lot of this is like this real internal exploration. It's almost like a spiritual awakening, it feels like. It almost feels like a real moment of, oh my gosh, I'm becoming overwhelmed with all of these ideas or these visions or these connections are just making sense to me. It's an interesting one, I think, for you, Libra, coming up to the end of this astrological year, because, of course, with this being on the 12th house, 6th house axis, I think the 12th house especially speaks to your inner world and inner exploration, and to your meditations and your healing practices, your spiritual practices, and all these things. So, yeah, a lot of clarity, much reward, much gain. Very interesting. Much releasing as well. Okay, it's like, do not need that. That needs to go, especially if it's not healthy for you mentally or physically. And then we also want to make sure that we look to Pisces opposite. So a lot of the 6th house activations happening for you, Libra. So yeah, so much to do with health, so much to do with wellness. I cannot say it enough for Libra during this full moon. And I think as well, it's looking at your routines and your schedules and your daily rituals and daily habits, those little things that you really want to put into place, these types of things. It does actually make me sort of think about my Libra friend. So, because I'm looking over right now at my books, I'm like, oh, Atomic Habits. But so I have a friend, and so her son is in Libra. She actually has a Libra stellium. And she has been talking quite a bit recently, about certain things that she's doing to kind of help with her routines, thinking about, certain meditative practices. And she was saying about Atomic Habits, and she's listened to that. And they're saying, oh, I've got that book as well. I've read that book. But yeah, it just sort of, I think it really connects in a little bit to what I'm saying, because I think for you, Libra, it is about looking at your habits. It is about looking at your daily rituals and routines and thinking about, oh, okay, well, what changes can you make so that there is greater clarity and you feel a lot more tranquil, okay? I think this is about feeling at ease, feeling somewhat at peace. Okay. Many Libras just want to be at peace. Let's just put it that way. Not to say it's an easy task. No, no, no. And I also think when it comes to working with the subconscious, working with the spiritual realm, it's not all sunshine and butterflies and rainbows and cupcakes. It's not. So it could very well be here, Libra, that this is a full moon that's also going to really trigger you. Okay, this is a full moon where it's like, oh my gosh, like that's a habit that I don't want to do anymore. I don't want to give into that pattern, that same routine anymore. What am I doing? So yeah, this clarity could very well be gained. Right. So let's also mention how the dispositor of Pisces, that is in Taurus. Okay. So Jupiter is in Taurus. So this really does intensify what I just said. And I think it further signifies the psychological stuff. Okay. The unconscious stuff. Working with the unconscious, looking at your own sort of subconscious patterns and habits and things that are a bit stuck. Okay. Things are a little bit stiff. Not that they'll never be changed. Of course, just with Taurus energy, slow to change. The familiar patterns, the familiar habits could very well happen there. Which, to be fair, we are going to notice big shifts and changes coming up to the conjunction of Uranus and Jupiter, April time. Still, during the full moon, yeah, Libra, I think it's a beneficial time to gain that inner to gain more inner knowing, and to also feel somewhat more at peace, to seek serenity, to seek the calm. And even just to touch on more sort of practical matters with respect to this energy, this could also be where it's about looking more so at how you wish to improve on a physical, practical level with someone else in terms of your shared resources, thinking about what it is that you share together. And maybe such things are strongly tied in with your work, right? Your work relationships and your services too. So moving on to Scorpio, we've got Scorpio up next. Okay, so Scorpio, this full moon is going to happen in your 11th house. All right, so August 2022, you set intentions, new intentions with respect to certain clubs, organizations you're a part of. You know, I think for you, Scorpio, you can be quite specific about the types of people you wish to network with. You can be quite specific in particular, even about the types of people you wish to hang out with. Okay, the friends you associate yourself with, the types of people you want to be seen with, right? Quite particular. Okay, it's about quality. Let's just say that quality over quantity, Scorpio. And I don't mean to sound. I hope I'm not sounding, silly. It's just I'm just being playful, basically. Right. But then you see, the thing is that whilst you did set intentions with respect to friendships and clubs and organizations and groups and everything back then, these intentions were challenged around May 2023. And these commitments being challenged and tested were then possibly strengthened. You could gain greater clarity, or there was a strengthening of sorts. But then the full moon is really about, okay, things are becoming very clear, okay? Very clear, very informative about, okay, these are the people that I can trust. These are the people that are on my side, cheering me on. These are the people who I want to work with. These are the people that I want to collaborate with. These are my people, right? This is a full moon of finding your people. So basically, Scorpio. And I think it's also a full moon in which you reap rewards, right? You're reaping rewards even when it comes to your hopes and wishes. It's sort of saying, oh my gosh, this thing that used to be a hope, that used to be a wish for me, it's actually happening. Oh my gosh. So interesting. It's an interesting one, I think, especially whenever we think about how Pisces is opposite. And, I kind of think at times of Pisces as being like a pinch me energy, right? Because you think about Pisces, and Pisces can be strongly linked to the dream world and, our fantasies, right? When you're sort of daydreaming, you're like, I love that. I would love to have that one day. And then it actually happens. You're like, oh, pinch me. That actually happened. I can't believe that. So I think this could be a full moon where many Scorpios are sitting back and they're watching the fruits of their labor. They're sitting back and they're seeing, oh, wow, I built that. I did that. I put that much effort into this. But, it could also be that a lot of this is linked to fifth house stuff, right? With Pisces, it's linked to children, it's linked to art, it's linked to your hobbies, it's linked to your forms of enjoyment and pleasure and everything. You're like, wow, this is amazing. It could be a time period where many Scorpios, you're actually feeling really high on life, excited, pumped, right? Really motivated and everything. Yeah, could be a cool time in this way. However, of course, we also kind of want to balance this out just a little bit, right? And we also kind of want to think about how this could be a full moon where you're coming to an ending, right? There's the end of a cycle. There's the end of possibly the end of how you approach your romantic relationships, the ending with respect to a child situation, or the ending with respect to a creativity situation. And maybe there's some sort of melancholy, right? There's some sort of sadness or it's over. It's over. And maybe when we relate it back to the friendship stuff, when you do sort of realize that, oh, right, okay, so can't trust them, which I know, Scorpio, it's your sign. You know all too well what it can feel like to be betrayed, etc., etc. I know. But maybe there is a little bit of like, oh, right, okay, so that stings a bit. That hurts my feelings. But let's also think of it like this, with Jupiter being the dispositor of the Pisces energy in the seventh house, fifth house, seventh house activations, it could very well be that for many Scorpios around this full moon, there's just so much coming up to do with relationships. There's so much blessings and prosperity and opportunity and growth and healing. And oh my gosh, finally, these things are coming true. And I feel so blessed. It feels great. And it could also be matters related to music, right? So music and hobbies and vibing with other people and feeling like, you know what? Yes, we finally get each other. And I value our relationship. Really stepping back and seeing, Scorpio, who are the people that you value the most. Awesome. Okay, so we're going to move on to Sagittarius next. So Sagittarius, this full moon is happening in your 10th house. All right. So with this 10th house activation, let's think about how August 2022, you set new intentions to do with your professional life, right? So thinking about your profession, your status, also considering here your life's work, your purpose, all this stuff very much was on your mind and you set new intentions. But you see, coming into May 2023, these matters were challenged, okay? They were tested. But this was also an opportunity for you to overcome such challenges, to learn from them, to become stronger. But you see, coming up to the full moon in Virgo, this is about clarity. This is about seeing, oh, right, okay, so I'm really getting a bigger perspective here about my services, about the role that I play within a public setting, about the next steps that I wish to take when it comes to my work out there in the world. And seeing even, what little tweaks you want to make or what you want to polish up. And the other thing about this is about reaping rewards. So possibly feeling like, there are rewards here, I'm being noticed here. There is a great deal of recognition, I think, in this way for many Sagittarians, because of course, the 10th house can look at recognition. The 10th house can look at where we are very dedicated, right? We've been dedicated over a long period of time, and then you're getting recognized for that dedication. So maybe in your case, Sagittarius, there's that clarity, there is that reward, that incentive in a way during the full moon where yeah, you're getting some type of applause or recognition. And what I further want to mention then, of course, is how there is all of this Pisces energy in the fourth house. So I think that during the full moon as well, this is about you having a good hard look at, okay, things like residency, things like, okay, where do you live? What type of house do you live in? Do you feel settled? Do you feel comfortable? Are there any certain visions that you have when it comes to your home? Anything that you wish to renovate? Anything that you wish to change? Okay, looking at playing around with new ideas in this respect, Sagittarius. Sagittarius, you can often have this this itch to want to change something, to want to try something new. So this could very well be a full moon where a lot of this is it's coming up, and that could be really exciting. But it could also be where there's so much inner healing actually happening for many Sagittarians. A lot of health stuff is coming through. We even noticed this with the full moon in Virgo. So thinking about clarity to do with your health and how that's related to your work, maybe looking at overworking yourselves. A lot of that then is even linked back to the sixth house stuff. Okay, so you've got Jupiter there in the sixth house, and Jupiter's your chart ruler. So I think Jupiter in the sixth house has been teaching you a lot about, okay, lessons with respect to work, lessons with respect to the amount of energy that you put into work and overdoing it and overcommitting yourself and all of the promises that you seek to make, but you realize that you can't, right? It's an interesting one, I think, because Jupiter, of course, is the dispositor of all of that Pisces energy. But then with Jupiter also being your chart ruler, Sagittarius, wherever Jupiter goes, this is where you're going to learn the most lessons. This is where you're going to gain these, moments of understanding in this way. You're going to look at the bigger picture. You're always thinking about the bigger picture. But in the sixth house in Taurus, it's looking at the bigger picture with respect to your health, with respect to your health, with respect to your schedules, your routines. So even with the sextiles to the fourth house, it's maybe even saying, okay, these are little changes that I want to make. And maybe it is about trying to get into a better sort of harmonious energy flow when it comes to those everyday changes, along with the home related, family related changes. Could be that there are many spiritual experiences coming up for Sagittarians over the next while, especially as we start to come into Pisces season. And then, of course, Venus and Mars will enter Pisces as well in the next while. But yeah, I think for you, many Sagittarians, a lot of this is about this inner self exploration and thinking also about your emotional healing. It is an interesting one because, yeah, a lot of the planets are below the horizon in your case here, Sagittarius. So there does seem to be more of an you're going through more of an introspective time. Let's put it that way. All right, so we're going to move on to Capricorn. Let's see. I'm just going to read through comments for now. We're flying through these, everybody. So Virgo has been done already. Hey, David. Hi. Welcome. Hello to you, Nicola. And creator, you're saying here. Oh, hi, Brittany. Hello. Hi. Oh, you say melatonin is best for sleep. Thanks for the advice. Oh, creator, you said it did nothing for you. I'm going to be really silly and say, I have no idea what melatonin is. Woo, I don't know. Might have to look that up. Thank you, Brittany, for the tip. And Teresa, okay, great. I'm glad. Saffron gummies. Interesting. Kingswell for a range. You said, ooh, Virgos. Yes. Okay. Right. I'm just going to take a drink of water and then we're going to move on to Capricorn. We've got 3 more to go. All right. So Capricorn, we've got this full moon happening in your 9th house. Right. So August 2022, you set intentions, new intentions with respect to, for example, travel, okay, long distance travel. You set new intentions to do with advanced training, okay, thinking about higher education, new educational programs, or furthering yourself within an educational program, or possibly setting new intentions with respect to your beliefs, right? Thinking about religion, spirituality, philosophy, this type of stuff. But then come May 2023, these matters were tested. There was some resistance and challenges, but it was also an opportunity for you to overcome these challenges and to become stronger through challenge. But you see, with the full moon now happening in the ninth house for you, Capricorn, there's the illumination, right? There's the clarity. It's seeing, oh, so this is what I've worked for. This is what this higher educational program taught me. This is how it's led up to this point. I'm so glad that I took on that opportunity, or I committed myself. I dedicated myself to that program for as long as I did. So you're sort of seeing the rewards coming up to the full moon, right? Of course, the thing about full moons too is I do feel like I haven't touched on this enough. I think it's because I usually do go the route of like releasing, letting go. I usually go in it that way during full moons. But yeah, just to remind you, yes, full moons, there is the release, there is the shedding, right? So we shed, we welcome the new, everything else. So I think as well, this could be where there is this clarity, but it's also seeing, right, I can also see at the same time, this has not been very supportive for me. This hasn't really been useful for me. Let's even think about it through the lens of the belief stuff that I previously mentioned, right? So a certain belief system, and perhaps this is a full moon where you think, oh, well, do you know what? Such and such beliefs I don't actually relate to anymore, or that doesn't resonate with me as much as it used to. When you kind of reflect back on the past few years, for instance. But then the other thing I want to mention here is that you've got this Pisces energy in the third. So with the Pisces energy happening in the third house, I think this is also looking at, let's think about the third house through a lens of, let's go with short distance travel, or let's go with your local area, your neighborhood. So there's some sort of clarity there as well, or there's an ending of sorts, right? So as I've been sort of saying throughout this video, Pisces energy looks at the ending of a cycle. And so this is the final full moon of the astrological year. And so with the ending here for you, Capricorn, maybe this is related to the ways in which you view your local area or your attitudes toward it, or thinking even about the ways in which you formulate certain patterns or connections in your mind. Even thinking about having greater sort of empathy or compassion for yourself in a mental way, thinking about the mind in this way with respect to the third house. But yeah, to me, it just seems like this is quite a soothing energy for many Capricorns. Maybe this is sort of something that you're craving at the minute. You're craving some sort of ability to relax, to relax the mind. Maybe especially coming, if we think about it this way, right? We think about it in an order. Pluto was transiting your first house, your sign, for so long. So Pluto moving away from your sign, of course, it's going to enter back into your sign for a couple of months. But maybe this highlighting something really very different, like a new landscape, a new set of circumstances, a new view of the world, or seeing that, how you've transformed and renewed and changed over so long, especially when it comes to things like your outlook on life, your body, your physical appearance, your goals, your life's path, all these types of things have really transitioned. And So maybe this is taking a little bit of pressure off for you in a way. And perhaps the Pisces energy in the third house is so much about that with the spiritual exploration, or the real ability to come from a place of, yeah, renewal, release, time to let that go. I'm ready to I'm ready to move on. I don't want to think about that anymore. Don't want to deal with that anymore. And you know what? These matters that I talk about could very well be connected in with siblings, right? A certain conversation with a sibling, um, even thinking about cousins, right? The third house can look at cousins, neighbors as well. So those sort of interactions could very well be coming up, right, during this full moon for you. But then it is about how you approach these matters. Maybe it is about trying to approach them through more of a, hey, you know what? It's not worth it. Just let it go. Maybe it's also thinking about, oh, do you know what? It's in the past. It's in the past. It's time to move on. Now, Jupiter is also, of course, in the fifth house. So Jupiter is the dispositor of the Pisces energy. So I do think Capricorn, this could be a full moon where so much is actually coming up to do with hobbies and pleasure and time off, time off, Capricorn. And do you know what? Just enjoyment, being able to enjoy yourself. This combination of Pisces and Taurus in the third and the fifth could be a good time for writing or reading or listening to music, or just, yeah, taking some time to yourself to maybe explore, get outdoors, get in the open air. And that, even in combination with the ninth house activation, you think about the full moon, yeah, maybe that is even highlighting more of an emphasis on wanting to explore something new, right? Wanting to expand your mind. Even that Jupiter energy, just to add, that could also be related to your hobbies and, something artistic, right? Doing something creative and artistic, especially around the full moon, that can perhaps help center you quite a bit, help relax you. Okay, so moving on to Aquarius. Let's see. Okay. Melatonin is the hormone our body when it's dark and we get sleepy, or that releases. Oh, right, okay. It's the hormone that our body releases when it's dark and we get sleepy. So you can take tablets then, to help get more of that, and then helps you sleep. Is that the idea? Right. So moving on to Aquarius. So the full moon for you, Aquarius. The full moon for you, Aquarius, is happening in your 8th house. Right. So August 2022, you set intentions to do with things like, okay, shared resources, right? Thinking, okay, we could think about it through a lens of you and your significant other and how you share resources, how you share materials together, right? There is that kind of unifying quality to the 8th house where it is about, okay, you've brought your resources and I'm bringing my resources and we're putting it into one. We're merging these finances. So there were intentions that were set there, or this could be where there's something about investments, stakeholders, this type of stuff. Debt, okay, debts, loans, any payments that need to be made to people, what's outstanding in this way, okay? Overdrafts, all that stuff. So there could have been intentions set back then as well, or there could have been intentions with respect to things like psychology, the occult, more psychic related things, esoteric related things. But you see, with the first quarter moon happening May 2023, these matters were tested. They were challenged a bit. But it was also an opportunity for you to overcome such challenges or to address such challenges with the intention of becoming stronger. But then you see this full moon, it's like this big light, right? You think about the sun in Pisces, it's shining its big light on Virgo, and it's kind of saying, oh, right, okay, so you can see the clarity here about, oh, these are the improvements that you want to make when it comes to shared resources. the certain habits, the new habits that you want to try and implement, or the habits that even are no longer working that you're subconscious to. You're like, oh, I've been doing this habit repeatedly and repeatedly, and I didn't even notice, I didn't even realize. Oh, right, okay, thank you, full moon, because I can change it now. So there's something here about being redirected, I think. There's this redirecting energy for many Aquarians. And even just thinking here about it, how your mind can be your own worst enemy. For Aquarius, my gosh, Aquarius, this is the sign that will really punish itself on this very like deep psychological level. And it's also where you can become so obsessive about performance and being the best. You know, Aquarius can also be a highly ambitious sign. I just want to say that. Saturn ruled. Let's remember that. But still, I think this is a full moon that's maybe going to show you all of this perhaps obsessive, paranoid stuff, this intense stuff that clings, okay? The clinging stuff to do with perfectionism, the clinging stuff to do with, oh, I'm not good enough, I don't have it. Time to let that go, Aquarius, okay? And then the other thing about it is when we think about the shared resource stuff, yes, this could be a time period where there's reward, right? There's some sort of reward to do with debts or loans or things that you're paying off. And you're thinking, oh, do you know what? I'm free from that. Or I've gained clarity about that. I don't have to deal with that anymore. Great. But then we also want to remember how there is the stellium in the second house, right? So the second house can also look at our finances and our earnings. So this I feel is where a lot of the work is having to be done for Aquarians. This is very much about, oh, so I can see what my limiting beliefs are, or I can see what I'm physically limited by here. Certain skills, for example, or how you wish to add to your skills, how you wish to improve. But, maybe the thing about this is it's about developing your skills, especially when it comes to emotional intelligence. And being able to maybe read the nuances and things a lot better, to become a lot more sharper and a lot more clear about those things. And also intuition, right? Thinking about how you can play around with the intuition or trust it, right? This could be a really useful full moon for Aquarians in terms of trusting your intuition, trusting where you're being guided toward. The thing about it too is with the full moon being in Virgo, it's also going to help you with a little bit of discernment. You're not going to get super carried away either. So that's a useful thing. Still, I think that this energy is really highlighting how this is a full moon where it says, okay, time to gain clarity about personal resources and personal finances and values versus other people's, and how it is that you merge with other people. Now, what I further want to mention then is that Jupiter, which is the dispositor of all of that Pisces energy, that is in the fourth house. Okay, so this is the thing. I think a lot of this has to do with housing. I think a lot of it has to do with property. Somewhere that you may want to live, or of course, thinking about the place that you already live in, right? And what sort of clarity can come up there? What major contentment changes are coming up there? How do you wish to progress forward? But in, of course, a slow, methodical way. But it is about looking more at materials, looking more at the physical stuff, thinking about Taurus energy. It's more rooted in reality. It's about the material world. So perhaps this could be a useful full moon of gaining wisdom and understanding about those major reasonings behind why it is that you wish to obtain certain things when it comes to housing. But then again, it could also be to do with the emotional stuff. Let's think about it through more of an emotional inner way too, because the fourth house can look at our emotional needs, our emotional well-being. So this could also be linked to worth, right? So where is it that you're sort of blocking yourself from maybe earning the type of paycheck you want to make, or what's blocking you from improving when it comes to a certain skill that you really, really want to get good at? What are those things that are blocking you? Maybe there's something that's coming back to self-worth. and inner belief. Okay, so, and just one more thing, Aquarius, before we move on. What also came to my mind there is with the Pisces energy in the second, there's something about closing a chapter to do with the ways in which you save or budget or spend. I think there's new changes up ahead when it comes to your earning potential, Aquarius, but in a more mature, realistic way, I think, because Saturn's there. All right, so Pisces, we're moving on to the final sign. Let's see. Oh, interesting. Okay. Interesting, creator. Thank you so much. You see, you learn something new every day. Right. Pisces. Okay, so Pisces, the full moon is happening in your 7th house. All right. So let's take you back. August 2022, you set new intentions with respect to business deals, business partnerships, collaborations. I think, Pisces, you're quite particular about the types of people you collaborate with. You know, you want to collaborate with the best. Okay. You want to collaborate with people who know what they're talking about. You want to work alongside people who are somewhat polished. Okay. Relatively well mannered, responsible, dedicated. So, yeah, you could very well have set new intentions with respect to these collaborations and even thinking about clients and customers, the types of clients and customers that you have, or the types of clients and customers that you wish, that you appeal to, or that you want to attract, that you really want to attract and work with. But then you see, May 2023, such intentions were challenged. Okay, so commitments were tested. But this was also an opportunity for you to overcome certain challenges and to learn from them, to grow stronger from them. But with the full moon happening here on the 24th of February, this is a full moon of clarity. This is a full moon. Okay, there's illumination here to do with contracts and agreements and commitments. Work relationships as well could very well be a big part of this, right? Thinking about your coworkers, employees, thinking also about your services and the certain things that may not be the most healthiest anymore. Or you're just realizing that something has run its course. This isn't meant to be. Or it's being able to appreciate what you have learned. Like, this could be a good time for Pisces to do a good review. It's an interesting one, when I think about it now more, because okay, stay with me. It's an interesting one for at least where I'm from. We're coming to the end of a tax year, of the tax year. And yes, the astrological new year, it occurs at the beginning of Aries season in the north and then Libra season in the south, and that is around the 21st of March, right? But then it's also the end of the tax year in April time. So it could be actually a good, beneficial, useful time for a decent review, right? Let's review this. Let's look over the plan. Let's look over the system. Let's see what little changes and tweaks we can make. So this is a full moon, I think, where there's so much clarity here, but then also reward, right? Rewards maybe because of a certain connection, because of a certain collaboration, right? And possibly being introduced, to certain people in this way to do with the 7th house. So the 7th house can look at our relationships. Of course, this can be to do with business, but this could also be related to other types of relationships as well. I just want to say that. Right. So we also noticed that there's a lot of this energy in your sign, Pisces. So it's coming up to your season. Oh my gosh, Pisces season is around the corner. It's going to be your birthday. Happy birthday, Pisces. So The Sun and Saturn here and Mercury will all be in your first house. So I do think Pisces season for you, Pisces, is so much about, okay, it's time to build, it's time to commit, it's time to see, right, what do I want to build upon here for the future? What do I want to commit myself to when it comes to my life path? It's a good time to review the plan when it comes to others, but to also consider what your dreams are, what your visions are, what you wish to bring to life. We kind of touched on this more toward the beginning of this video, where there is that part of this full moon where there's the energy of being dreamlike and, playing with the fantasy world in this way. But then it's also about, okay, but what are the practical measures? What are the practical steps? How can you be realistic? And I think Saturn can assist us in this way. So for you, Pisces, take this information and apply it to your direction, the next step, your goals, your aims, your ambitions, your successes. Haha. So interesting. And what I further want to mention is that Jupiter, of course, is the dispositor of all this Pisces energy. Jupiter is also your chart ruler, okay? So Jupiter coming up here and making the sextile to this energy, I think it adds to this part of it where you're going over more of a plan, but it's also about being able to play around with the dream world, or being able to just explore what new ideas pop up. But a lot of it, I think, has to do with your earnings, right? Thinking about Taurus energy, thinking about wealth. I mean, I think for Pisces, the ways in which you tend to earn money or generate money is actually linked to your ways of presenting or writing, and thinking about media, thinking about art, poetry, working with your hands quite a bit, painting. So yeah, something creative, basically, with Taurus in the third house, or just I think in this way the combination between Taurus and Pisces can be quite an inspirational time. I see this Pisces as you being strongly inspired. Coming into your season, of course, it's not too far away. Seriously, Aquarius season is the shortest season, and I'm like, it's just not fair. Anyway, I'm joking. It's just because my sun is in Aquarius, and then you're always reminded that Aquarius is the shortest season out of them all. But anyway, I guess it just means we're the rarest, right? We're more unique. Anyway, Pisces, you. Yeah, so I think for you, Pisces, coming into your season very soon, it could be quite an uplifting, inspirational time. And, maybe many of you are feeling this call to action, right? You're feeling this call to want to make a change, to do something that perhaps you haven't done before. And this, I think, is also further communicated via the Aquarius energy that you have in the 12th house right now. Well, Venus is going to enter Aquarius on the 16th, but around the full moon, I think this could very well highlight that behind the scenes, there are major changes happening, but it's more about giving yourself that time to explore something more innovative, like how you can innovate, how you can reinvent yourself. Though, just quickly here, of course, with the Pisces energy, at the same time, Pisces can indicate some type of endings too. So there could be some sort of ending here with respect to a certain direction, a certain path. And then it is about sort of ushering in something new. All right, so Pisces, that was you. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. Thank you for being here today. Just to remind you that there is the Patreon. You can find the link to the Patreon down below. And also another reminder that I'm going to be hosting my first workshop. That's going to be at the end of March, and we're going to be talking all about annual perfections. Yes. So if you want to know more about your birthday, if you want to know more about your age based on astrology, you can always check out that workshop. So there is a registration form over at hannahselsewhere.com. So there is the early bird price, and that's going to be until the 18th of February. And then after that, of course, it's going to go up to its normal price. But it would be awesome for you to join. It's also going to be more of an interactive workshop as well. So you'll be able to ask me about about your chart, about your annual perfections. So yes, you can find the links then to the Patreon and to my website and everything else in the description box. And if you did enjoy this presentation today, thank you so much for listening, by the way, everyone. Thank you for being here. You can always buy me a coffee there, and you can book a reading with me as well at hannahselsewhere.com. Hi, Brianna. Welcome. Hello. You caught the end. Hi. Thank you so much. Thank you, creator. Thank you, David, for being here. And birthday. So it's not my birthday today, no. So my birthday was on the 8th of February. But that was more so because with annual perfections, it's an interesting one because it sort of aligns with the solar return. And the solar return does look at our birthday. So it's an interesting one. I think it's fun, and we will explore solar return charts in the workshop as well. So yes, thank you so much for being here, everybody. I hope that you enjoyed your reading, your horoscope, and I will post the timestamps shortly. Right, that's me. I'm going to get going. Have a great day, everybody. What day are we on today? We're on Thursday. Have a great weekend as well. All right, speak soon. Thank you. Bye.